I'm Pastor Terri Horn, and I have been here at Sueur United Methodist for about 4 years. The church has come from multiple small churches together over the years, and then they built this magnificent, beautiful church in 1959. It was all a coming up together of all these small family-sized churches from the EUB and the Methodist and the Methodist Episcopal, and they all bridged together to form this absolutely beautiful, amazing church building. But the church people are absolutely wonderful. They pride themselves on their music, and they pride themselves on their ministry, their outreach to others. We broke our capital campaign down into 3 phases, and we were aiming for phase 1 because that was the most urgent needs. The goal was $350,000 to $400,000 in pledges, $1,000 in pledges. We received up to $600,000 in pledges, so we're able now to do phase 1 and phase 2. Well, first of all, our church hasn't asked for much money in the past. They were the church that is do-it-as-you-go kind of church. But I think the most important part was what was our mission? What were we headed into doing? What did we want to accomplish in our ministries, and how did the building facilitate the ministries? It was not what could we do in our building, but what could our building do for us? And how did we have to change our building and adapt our building in order to accommodate our ministries now and in the future? People believe in ministry. They believe in people. And they want to leave a lasting legacy through the building for others to enjoy Christ in the future. We had looked at all the many things that we need to do, and we did that very simply. And we literally walked through this building as if we were brand new and had never seen these rooms before. And we had a checklist, and we went through all the things that we needed to fix, everything from cracks and outlets to the things that weren't handicapped accessible, things that were outdated, things that we weren't even using anymore, like speakers in rooms that who knows when they put those in. And so we're looking at being a welcoming church no matter what door you come in. They had already put in an elevator, but we still do not have a back door where you can come up without having to face the stairs, leave, go back and drive around to another entrance, and then you are handicapped accessible. So that's not very comfortable for people. It's not welcoming. And then we looked at our space and how crammed we were in the back here and how we didn't have much light. Over in the corner, we're going to be breaking down some walls and putting in a coffee center. I love coffee, and so do my people. We're flipping the nursery around and looking at safety features in the nursery and updating it and making it look more amenable to what parents are looking for. People are excited when you talk about remodeling. They all have a vision of remodeling in their head. But then there are people who were here when this was built. And they remember every beam that they stained and every single part of this building that they assembled a brick. And they are absolutely nervous about breaking any of that because it's a sacred trust they have with their ancestors, with their fathers and mothers. And so we have this tension between those who are excited about changes in the sanctuary, excited about moving walls, and those who do not want to move the pulpit 1 inch to the right or left. And so we live in that dynamic tension of what we have, the beauty of what we have, that legacy, but not living for the legacy. We're living for Christ, and so what the future can provide for that. So the longtime members who had been here since the building was built or shortly thereafter had a love for the beauty of this sanctuary in this building. And so we had one-off conversations with them. I think the most surprising thing was what we thought their issues were not the real issues. What we feared was not the truth. A lot of it had to do with their fear that we were making a mistake or that they would no longer feel comfortable here. And so we have to alleviate that. Have we done that 100%? No. There's still some people who are still nervous about us doing these changes. But we also know they're the same people who were nervous when we put the screens in. And they're still here, and now they admit that they're useful. Think bigger. Think bigger. See, most of us get locked into the smallness of our ideas, and we think that that is where we should be, in our comfort zone, and yet God is calling us to think bigger. Jesus was thinking bigger. That was the whole point of the church. It was bigger than just being the flesh of Jesus. And so, think bigger. Imagine the God-sized realities that God is calling you to do. Don't think human-sized realities, think God-sized. I have been in the pew longer than I've been in the pulpit. And yet I have to tell you, I have watched one church close after another because they were afraid of change. And we just need to find the people, the sheep, the people who are lost, and help bring them in here so that they can hear the good news. That's our purpose, is to hear the good news of Christ. It's not to preserve pulpits and pews and carpet and paint. It's to preserve the message that Christ has given to us. We are here to share the love of God with the people of God in the place of God. And so this is just a building. It's here to serve the ministry of God. And if we keep that in perspective, then we can put any change in place, because we're here to build the future of the church here in Sueur. And you're here to build the church wherever you're at. And if we keep that in mind, that we're here for the mission of Christ and not for the mission of this building, then we are on the right path. Before we started this, I encourage people to read a book by Andy Stanley called Deep and Wide, and it helped change people's perspective on being a church and gathering people into the presence of Christ. And the one thing I got out of that book over and over and over again was to wow them. Whatever you do, wow them. Create an irresistible environment became our goal. Create an irresistible environment. Wow them. So wow them when they walk in. Wow them with your worship area. Wow them with your worship. Wow them with your hospitality. And that included the building and the people. And so when I say think bigger, think wow. What can I do that will wow them and impress them? Because Jesus is a wow. The people of the first century were wowed by what Jesus had done. Can we do anything more than to wow them with our understanding of who Christ is?